going to.
You're going to the actual thing we're going to.
No, but that's it.
Welcome to The Connection Code, a podcast where we explore the relationships that make your life and work just a little bit better.
Hi, I'm Rachel Rischall. I'm the founder of 3PR, an agency that is really dedicated to healthy food brands that I'm obsessed with. But I also really love connecting people. And despite a conversation we're about to have with my twin daughters, where they say they've learned nothing about connection from me, I would like to think that I'm a decent resource.
I mean, kids don't learn anything from their parents until, they're adults. Then they realize everything they've learned. And I'm Jeana Anderson-Cohen. I'm the founder of A Sweat Life, which is a health and wellness media company that tricks adults into making friends. And the co-founder of Petite Acres, which is a social event and travel space. I am obsessed with friends.
Wait, we have brought Petite Acres into the group chat.
We're talking about Petite Acres.
Yes.
And today we're starting our episode with a big question I brought because of all of the things I just said. I brought a big question. It's so funny that I'm transitioning from saying all the things I'm doing on the podcast we're doing together. But here's my big question this week.
Okay.
How do you show up as your full self in a relationship or relationships when you're feeling overwhelmed?
First, I am really ready to go there with you on this topic because I know that your plate is heaping and overflowing and it's a lot. So this is something we should spend the majority of the bulk on. But I want to make you feel better by saying that when I am overwhelmed, I actually just don't show up, or I don't show up well. Since I was a small child, my mom, anytime I'm crabby or off my game or just a really extra emotional, will say, "Rachel, are you getting enough sleep?" And I used to get so mad, and I'd be like, "Mom, it's not about the sleep." And then I would get a good night of sleep, and I would feel markedly better, and be like, "Oh, it is about the sleep. It's always about the sleep." So even in middle age, as Shira's reminded me, I need really good sleep. So if I'm overwhelmed, the best gift I can give to everybody in my world is to get a good night of sleep. Mm-hmm. Because if not, I really am unable to move through the day in service to other people and not just be a nightmare. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I would say, besides good sleep, is maybe we're all incredibly distracted, and I highly recommend the book Stolen Focus, where it kind of isn't our fault that we have been programmed to have short attention spans, mm-hmm. and everything has been colluding to steal our attention. But if I can ever make a really tight list in order of what I need to do and just do one thing at a time. The lie of multitasking is so seductive.
It's mean.
It's so mean. You'll be like, I'll do this and this and this. And I will watch myself ping pong between tasks, none of which get done. Mm-hmm. And so the other thing in overwhelm is to just try the power of one, just one thing at a time. But I feel for you. So let's talk about your overwhelm.
Well, first of all, I love all the tips you just gave because not only are they just in general great tips for mental health and well-being, but it's interesting to me that everything you just named is a mental health tip. So it's almost like you can't truly show up as yourself and give yourself into your relationships if you're not managing and caring for your mental health and well-being, which I think is really full circle for me as a human being. So I want to acknowledge that first. And second of all, the reason why this came up for me this week and the reason I brought it up is because I have this habit, and tell me, Rachel, if this is a woman habit, a Jeana habit, an everyone habit, but I have this habit of when I'm feeling overwhelmed, of feeling like when I'm overwhelmed, I am letting everyone down. So I will have these sort of micro, what should I call them? It's almost like micro presumed disappointments where I just will have an interaction with someone and I'll be like, I didn't show up the way I should have in that. I wasn't as polite as I should have been. I wasn't as warm as I should have been. I wasn't as likable as I should have been. And then by the end of the week, I'm just like, I'm fucking it all up.
I can't say if things are in everybody feeling just because I can't possibly know. I do think it feels like a woman thing and enemy thing. I had this idea all of a sudden of you can't drive a car with no gas. And I feel like you are trying to take a road trip right now, like a cross-country road trip on an empty tank, and then getting mad at yourself that the car's not driving when what you need is gas.
Yeah.
I believe that you are being much harder on yourself than is warranted. And I wish that away for you, except that I know it's hard and you carry a lot of concern about how you show up in the world. I would only relate and say, I remember I was going through a spell where work was really intense and I'd committed to a new business call that I shouldn't have. I didn't want the business. I was going to refer it anyways. And I got on the phone with this woman and I was like manic. I just couldn't believe how the lack of composure I had. I was talking too much and too fast and spitballing, and I just didn't feel like a good version of myself. And I got off the phone and just felt complete and total embarrassment. Like, that's not who I am, especially with brand new people who are looking for a PR rep and I'm trying to make a referral. And I actually was so embarrassed, I had to go back to the person who connected us and say, I think that this portfolio company of yours is going to have a really weird perception of who I am. And then I had to sit back and be like, I'm uncomfortable, I'm embarrassed, and this is my number one sign that I am too tapped. I can't even fake an adult conversation. And so I'm only sharing this to say that I know you're in it really big time right now, and maybe everything feels like it needs your attention equally. But if there's any place to pull back or delay or just give yourself more breathing room, it actually might be to your emotional benefit.
So at the end, so right now, I'll give you a specific example of like kind of what's going on. So right now, Sweatlife hosts a week that's like Restaurant Week for fitness once a year. It starts tomorrow. We're recording this on May 31st, so it goes June 1st through the 7th. And it's just a lot of coordination to get it rolling. So I have been coordinating with and emailing 30 studios and gyms and brand partners and getting questions from people who are attending. And I like really genuinely like all of these people who I'm working with and helping and coordinating with. But it's almost just the volume of communication for this specific week has me tapped out, where I'm just not showing up as my best self. So there was an incident yesterday where a partner who is hosting like a pickleball event for us, like we love this partner, there was a miscommunication and something wasn't scheduled on time. Instead of just like taking a beat, looking at the schedule and trying to understand like what the solution was and just like working through it quickly, I fired off and I'm frustrated. You know, like I started with, I'm frustrated. This was when I confirmed this with you. I was not generous at all in this communication. So that's sort of where I am. But I will tell you, Rachel, on June 7th, actually even like once the week starts rolling, but on June 7th, the coordination will be done. I will send a thank you email. Everyone will be thanked. I will be moved on beyond Sweat Working Week.
I identify so much. I also want to share something I read that I'm going to botch a little bit because I can't mentally source it, but I think it's going to make you feel maybe a little bit better. There was an experiment conducted, like a psychology experiment, and they wanted to see if religious, it was essentially a program for people I think were going to become priests. Like the idea that these are people who are geared towards compassion and love and generosity and helping, right? Like this was the pool of people they were testing. And I think they planted somebody who looked like they were in need on the way to somewhere that they had to get. So everybody was going from building A to building B. And on the route, they planted somebody who is needing something. I don't know if they were a beggar or they had an injury. The whole point was they were trying to see, would these students, these religious students, stop and help the person as they were getting from building A to building B.
Interesting.
Am I setting this up okay? Does it make sense?
Tracking.
Yes. And then the control thing was how much time they had to get from building A to building B. So one group was told, you have plenty of time to get there. And they stopped and they helped the person in need. And then one group had a finite amount of time.
Yep.
And some of those people stopped to help the person in need. But the group that was told they were going to run late and they had to hurry, no stopping, building 1 to building 2, did not pause to help the person in need.
Not a soul.
It's not. And so what they took away from this is not that some people are inherently good and some people are less good. These were all good, kind people. But what determined their capacity for generosity and compassion and helping somebody else and pausing was if they had bandwidth, if they felt they had bandwidth to give. So my takeaway from this is maybe we're all wired to be amazing, but what we need is emotional bandwidth and time to lean into that. And you are phenomenal. And I'm always amazed by how much you can do and touch and accomplish. But if you don't have time or bandwidth, you can't possibly give other people that version of Jeana because you're just too stretched. You need more time to get from building A to building B. And right now, you don't have that time.
That's really true. And it'll calm down. Like, I know it's a season, but I'm also like in the thick of it. So I feel like I just need to have a little more generosity with myself in this sort of season.
I just want to give you the biggest hug because you're writing a book.
I paused it for this season.
Good, good.
I'll pick it back up after, call it mid-June.
Okay, I'm so glad because I was saying to my husband, I was like, okay, so Jeana's doing this podcast with me and our chief technology officer of it, writing a book, running a sweat life, working on Petite Acres, and have a personal life. I mean, all of these things require so many resources, and one person only has a finite amount.
Yeah. Justin, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
Oh, and you planned the best birthday for your husband.
Yeah, I think he liked it.
Yes.
I think he liked it.
I mean, if anybody listening has advice on moving through overwhelm and trying to show up for people and yourself when it feels really heavy, would love that advice.
We'd love to hear it.
Share it.
Please. And also, if you feel like no one can be present when your brain's in a million places, like, that would be helpful to me, too.
Yes.
That would be so helpful.
No, I am not good. If I was in your spot, I would just actually be horizontal on this couch.
I would love to take a nap, but I will on June 7th. Yes. Take a nap. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this week. Actually, you know what I feel like? Overwhelm robs you of joy in the moment. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Because I'm like, I love this week. Like, I love being with all these people that I care about so much, the community. Like, I love, like, coordinating schedules with them. And I feel like allowing that's why I keep trying to, like, knock myself out of overwhelm, because I'm not allowed, because of it. It's robbing my brain of joy.
I think the joy could turn on as soon as the week begins.
It's probably true. I think it's just the stress to get it started. I would love to just feel joy right now.
You're like the bride who's done all the work, but I think once the wedding is underway, you're like, I'm here and we're getting married.
A sweaty wedding. Wouldn't you love a sweaty wedding? I think a sweaty wedding would be fantastic. Rachel, are you ready for show and tell?
Yeah, always. I love show and tell.
It's time for show and tell, where we bring something that we think the other would enjoy in the connection space. Rachel, do you want to go first or second?
I have a short one, so I'll go first.
Okay.
I go to this gym called Midtown, and I took my daughter for her tennis lesson, and they have this big glass wall that leads up to the stairs, and it was covered in multicolored Post-it notes. I'm like, what's going on over here? And somebody had decided to make it a gratitude wall.
So cute.
And they put out the Post-its on a table with a Sharpie, and it was just really short sentiments all over this wall. And people are like, my dog, God, my family, friends, health. I mean, it was the silly and also the serious. Mm-hmm. And I just took a minute and marveled at the fact that when you see everybody's gratitude aggregated, there's so much of it. And it just really landed this emotional wallop. And I thought, it's so important to name what you're grateful for. Mm-hmm. It's important to see what other people are grateful for, to acknowledge the blessings in your life. And it just felt like a beautiful moment of authentic connection. So I took a picture of it. I added my note to the wall, which was family, friends, and health. And was reminded that when it comes to like my gratitude core, those are the things I return to.
I feel like I need to bring gratitude practice back into my life. I feel like that's very grounding and centering too. Wait, Rachel, what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful today that the sun is out, which I know probably sounds silly, but I really respond to weather, and it's been a very rainy May. Yeah. So I'm grateful that today the sun is out. We're going to go to a friend brunch with our friend Sarah. I have a girls' dinner with my book club tonight. Cute. I have a Saturday that is really geared towards like all the fun things I want to do. And I hope I'm in bed by 10 p.m.
Oh, what a perfect Saturday.
That's my ideal.
Okay, so I'm grateful for, I I would ditto your first two. I don't have a book club dinner tonight. Ditto.
No book was read, by the way. We just call it book club dinner.
Yeah, because no one can question book club. You have to meet with book club.
That's why I tell the kids, I'm like, I have book club. I'm so sorry.
To meet with book club.
Yes.
I also have a pretty free afternoon.
Good.
So I'm trying to make it to potentially a first birthday after our brunch. We'll see. And then after that, free afternoon to sort of maybe do a little work, clear out my inbox so my brain can feel a little calmer, but then settle, relax.
You know what you should do? My friend Nikki came up with this, the power hour. And so she will set a timer, turn off all distractions, and do the thing she doesn't want to do for that hour. So for her, like, oftentimes, like, she's like, I have to get these pitches out. And so she'll just super duper focus and do the power hour. And I wonder if instead of like clearing out your inbox, sort of at leisure, maybe with music on, like you're half in, set a timer, just bang it out, and then you're done.
Is it Nikki, who I know, Nikki Knack?
It is Nikki. Yes, of course, we love Nikki. Nikki, who created the Connection Challenge. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, are you ready for my show and tell?
I would love your show and tell, which I think is going to be academic.
Yeah, a little academic. Actually,
But
it's based
I
on
love
Reddit.
that.
It's based on Reddit.
Which is also so academic.
So academic. I do feel like Reddit sometimes can have like glimmers of hope, and people like name each other's pets. Like, I like that about Reddit.
Do you spend a lot of time on Reddit?
I spend a little bit of time on Reddit. Like, I enjoy a couple of subreddits. I do like where people name each other's pets. I like where people ask questions about friendship and answer them, which is interesting because it does happen on Reddit. I like sometimes the Am I the Asshole subreddit. But I don't like when things get dark and gloomy. But I think it's less dark and gloomy than we think it is.
Okay. I've never explored this corner of the internet, so I'm intrigued.
Okay,
Please
I'll send
share.
you a couple.
Yes.
I'll send you a couple to explore. But I do. Okay, so what I brought from Reddit was rejection, because someone on Reddit, I found this when I was doing a little research about rejection. Someone asked a question about it. It was a couple years ago, but they basically were like, I don't feel like trying to make a friend because I think I'm going to get rejected. It was essentially like a plea to people, like, how do I overcome this? I feel like I am going to get rejected, so I'm not even trying. And so some people shared some similar beliefs to the original poster, OP, as they call it on Reddit. and some people had some hope to sort of give to the original poster. So the quotes I took from it were, I rarely try to initiate friendship because I've been rejected a lot before. And we're all out here getting rejected every day. While we all unique, we share tons of common experiences that link us to humanity. Which I think they were trying to make a little hopeful, but also, okay. Here's the hopeful thread. Find something you're interested, follow it with enthusiasm. People with similar interests will find you, and you'll have stuff to talk about naturally. Cute. And then the last one, which honestly, like, I feel like every Minnesota dad would like this one, but it's making friends is like going fishing. You're not going to catch a fish every time you cast your line. You have to find the right people. Keep at it.
Which is also true of dating.
It is true of dating. It's fish. So I guess I'm curious how you feel about rejection. If it deters you from, I don't think it does, but if it deters you from trying to network or make friends.
So I have this working theory called the unbaked cake theory. And it's when all the ingredients are there for a potential friendship, but it doesn't come together. The cake is not baked. The ingredients never get utilized properly. And so it's like this untapped potential. And it can be somebody where you live near each other, you share mutual friends, you work in the same field, whatever the reason, you're like, oh, her and I should be friends. It would make so much sense for us to become friends. And you like each other enough and you're cordial, and there's like maybe like some half-hearted attempts, like we should grab coffee, we should go for a walk, but nobody really goes for it. And so all the ingredients just lay there on the counter, and you look at them and think, why aren't we friends? And maybe the root of that is also a little bit of rejection, which I hadn't considered until you said this, is even in adulthood, where I do feel, fortunately, pretty secure in my friendships, I don't think it ever leaves you from maybe junior high or below, what if this person that I lean into doesn't lean back and they don't like me enough to go for it? And I feel for these people who are going to Reddit to try to figure out how to overcome a fear of rejection. But I think there's two things that you touched on that make a lot of sense. One is not everyone's a love match. So you are going to have to put out some friendship feelers and just see who you have chemistry with and where it feels like it's a good match. Like you're not going to want everybody as your friend in return. So it's a mutual assessment process.
Oh, yes.
Right? It's not just like, oh, I'm desperate for a friend who likes me, but do I like them back? Do I want to invite them in? I'm valuable too in this friendship.
Yes.
And then I think starting with generosity. I think a great way to create a new friend is to do something kind of nice for somebody, to be thoughtful, not in a way that it's like so manipulative, like you show up with their favorite latte and say, friends yet? But there's ways to, I think, just display a little bit of like thoughtfulness or attunement, or somebody mentions they like something and you just sort of dial in a little bit more. I don't have a perfect example, but I think somebody can display that they want to be your friend and sort of advertise the quality of friend they would be by coming into your world with a little bit of generosity and sort of a discerning eye for what you like and how they might be able to slot in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, 'cause I think what you're describing is important in dating, is important in interviewing, and is important in friendship. And that's that you should be interviewing them too. Like, yes. Yeah. Like when you're at a job interview, like you're not just there to get the job. You're also there to figure out if the job is right for you. Like you should be figuring out if the coworkers are going to be a fit for you, if the culture is going to be a fit for you. That's also true in dating. Like I think a lot of my time in my early 20s was spent trying to make people like me in dating situations. Like, does he like me? Never considering, do I like him? do I like him? And that is also true for friendships. Exactly what you're saying. Like, you should be kind and generous to the best of your ability. You know, like in every friendship situation, but not everybody's going to be a match. Not everybody's going to have chemistry with you.
Yes. And this is not a perfect example because I think this woman and I were already kind of like work friends regardless.
Yeah.
But I really like her. We had coffee and I mentioned that I really wanted to read a good new book. And that evening, she dropped off a book she really wanted me to read. And then she wrote me a handwritten note inside that referenced our conversation and kind of a big dream I'd had. And so the note was something about like, she can't wait to see that big dream come true. And I'm like, this is the generosity I'm talking about. The book landed in my hands. The handwritten note was like chef's kiss on top.
Yeah.
I loved the book. I sent her a note back about it. She was so happy. Now we're trading book recs. We did already have a relationship, but I think this up-leveled it and made me feel so much more connected to her. And it was just such a small thing that meant so much. And so when I say generosity, I don't mean like you're buying somebody an expensive gift or you're doing something that's like really over the top. Just a book and a handwritten note completely touched me.
So cute.
Also, the book is called Horse, and it was excellent. Took a minute, but then I was very impacted.
Horse spelled like horse, Horse.
Yeah, Geraldine Brooks, I believe.
Oh, I know that author. Okay, amazing.
Yes.
Wait, should we hear from today's very special guest?
Yes, just to set this up, unless you want to.
Do it.
I should even say that, so we interview my twin daughters, Kayla and Shira.
They interview us.
You're right. What am I talking about? I'm so backwards. They interview us. Oh, yes. And Jeana came over this morning. She's got to know the girls. You really have their number at this point. Oh, yeah. And it was an entertaining process to even get this in motion. So I hope people enjoy just a slice of the chaos that is my life with these special girls.
Well, I also think it's fun, and what you'll hear is their curiosity for connection, what they are sort of observing from what we're doing and what they want to know more about. It's also pretty cute to hear them not have like the concerns of adulthood yet. You know, like they're not thinking about like it's not as concerning that folks will reject them or like where will I find my friends? Like obviously I'll find my friends at school. You know?
Yes. And they wouldn't let us talk about it in depth, but maybe we'll just do like a skim off the top. So they were having their own connection drama today. Involving shared friends, and do they both participate in something, or does one twin get access to the friends today? And it was really kind of emotionally hard to see them because I understood both sides. You want inclusivity, but you also, as a tween, want your own time. And the happy ending is that they went with the plan of everybody being included, and I'm so relieved. But I think it can be easy in adulthood to gloss over the trials and travails of kids, but their friendship problems are very real to them, and they feel really all-consuming and really central. And it reminded me of all that's caught up in, am I being included?
Yes.
Am I wanted? Am I invited? Do I have a place here? Belonging always matters.
Yeah, belong. You feel so much better when you feel like you belong. And so I absolutely do understand the struggle they were having this morning. Watching you try to work through it in real time, I was honestly like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. And I understood both their perspectives.
You were a great neutral party, and I appreciated your presence very much.
Well, I tried to just sit there and observe because I was like, I have no business chiming in on this. Believe me, I wanted to, but I had no business. But I honestly, I don't think anyone else could have handled it with as much grace as you did. I think you were, honestly, I was saying, I feel like I'm going to mom school. Watching
that was the nicest thing, because as we hear, I don't know what they're picking up from me sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think they did. Well, they won't know until they're in their 20s. Should we hear from the girls?
Yes, let's hear from the girls.
I'm Kayla and Rachel, and I'm almost a 6th grader. Hi, I'm Jeana and Rachel, and I'm also almost a 6th grader.
Girls, I hear you have some questions for us. Do you want to start?
Yeah. My first one is, what is the hardest thing about connecting with someone?
Well, first, I want to welcome my twin daughters to the podcast. I'm very excited to have them. And this is a good question. I think the hardest part about connecting with someone is when they are not putting in the same amount of energy or effort. So if somebody can meet me even partly halfway, and they're enthusiastic and they're engaged and they're nice and they're friendly, I'm like, great, we are connecting. But when someone feels kind of aloof and removed and they don't want to put in the work, and I feel like I'm doing all of it, it is really hard to feel as though I'm driving the relationship. So I think you can connect with pretty much anyone as long as they're willing to meet you part of the way. But if you have to be the one who's literally carrying the relationship, it's truly hard to feel a sense of connection. How about you?
I did all of that, and I would say just getting started in building friendships, because you have to find the people, find something in common, and break the ice. And as you sort of get into adulthood, which is a little different than childhood, you need a little help, a little leadership to push you towards your friends.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What are the good qualities of having a healthy connection?
Ooh, you go first, Jeana.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Healthy connection. I think good communication is the qualities of having, I would say, number one quality of a healthy connection. And good communication, to me, it can mean something a little different to everybody, but I think good communication means just voicing what your expectations are. And that can be I expect to be on, nope, I never expect to be on time, but it could be some version of from this brunch, I'd love to have a conversation with you, or at this meeting, I would love to X, Y, and Z. Just sort of explaining what you expect from the relationship, so that, or from an interaction. And that can even come down to voicing that you want to be friends too. So when your mom and I became friends, we were explicit about the fact that we wanted to be friends. What about you, Rachel?
First of all, I'm very impressed with your questions.
And you're so amazing.
You are so
No,
amazing.
I said the questions.
The questions are
That's
so
right.
amazing, and you're so amazing. Okay, I think the mark of healthy connection is when someone cares about you and they don't just care about what you can do for them. So a lot of times sometimes people will hold on to connections because they think there's value in this for me. This person can do something to make my life better, so I want to stay connected. But the best connections are we really like each other and we believe in each other, and there's ways that we can continually help each other, and that balance of both is what makes the connection thrive.
Love that. Okay, what do you have?
So our next question is, what connections do you still hold on to from childhood?
I want you to go first.
So, disclosure, I did see these questions ahead of time, but I didn't really think about them except this one. And I do have a good connection story. So when I was a kid, I went to overnight camp, and I met this really nice boy at camp who everybody thought was friendly and had really silly dance moves, and he was just like a well-liked kid. And we were in camp together, and then as life goes, we overlapped a little bit during college years. He visited my campus, I visited his campus, and then we both moved to Chicago, and we caught up and went to a concert. And then in our 20s, we just kind of stayed lightly connected. We would use something that the young people won't know called I am, and we would run into each other at birthday parties and at bars. And then finally, in our late 20s, we ran into each other at the same wedding in Minnesota, and a friend of both of ours said, Rachel, you should go on a date with him. And then she said to him, you should go on a date with Rachel. And that connection is your dad. So I'm so glad that we stayed in touch for 14 years.
You did it? How?
What?
Wait, you didn't know that story?
When you
I
know
know
when
that
you
story.
were saying the story, I was wondering who it was, and then
Sure, you didn't know that. I knew that.
Kayla knew. So my point of this story is that sometimes you don't realize that connections that date all the way back to your childhood and formative years will end up shaping your adult life. So staying in touch and staying on good terms really is important, because somebody who you don't even realize when you're 14 years old with races at camp could end up being your future husband.
And that's how you exist.
okay.
Oh, wait, no,
Gina
Gina's
has to go.
Well, mine will be short. So I have looser ties to people from home. I'm also from Minnesota, but I've been gone. I feel like I've been gone for a long time and don't go back that much. But I do have people I can stay in touch with for things like jobs, or if they're in town. Like, I know I'll hear from people when they're in Chicago and they'll ask to go. I said that with a Minnesota accent. Did you hear it?
Yes.
That was wild. Chicago.
What's a Minnesota accent?
What is a Minnesota accent? My mom is up on the rough.
My mama is up on the roof.
Pretty good.
Not everybody has one,
Not
but there's
everybody has
certain words that I hear myself say sometimes.
Hello, bagel. Anyway, so there are people I stay in touch with, and I hear from, like, situationally. I mean, I didn't marry anyone from home, but
That's okay. But this is also the overnight camp that the twins go to. So we're
Oh,
really
that's
keeping it full
cute.
circle. Yes.
so family weekends, really family weekend.
Yes.
Okay, so my second question is, how do you know when you have made a good connection?
Do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I think there are a couple things. There's like
Sorry, that wasn't like all the questions. Like, what do you know? How do you know when you have made a good connection and you feel like you have stuck with that connection for a long time?
Okay. Great question. I think there are a couple things. There's like good on paper, and there's also chemistry. And when I say
Yes.
good on paper, what I mean is, like, we have a lot in common. Like, we both like to work out, or we both work in a specific industry, and we like the same things and have a lot to talk about. So that's kind of the good on paper stuff. But then there's also chemistry, which is harder to explain, because all that means is, you know how when I don't know if you girls can identify with this, but you know when you meet a new friend for the first time and you just sort of have a feeling like this person is going to be a good friend. Has that ever happened to you? No?
No?
I don't know.
Okay, so think about the next time you make a friend, just think about the feeling in that moment and tell me about it later. Because that's called chemistry, where there's something in your, like, heart and your brain that's like, I feel safe in this relationship where you can be your whole self. So for me, that's a good connection that can kind of carry you into life.
Girls, I think if you thought about it, some of your favorite people you felt a connection to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree.
But it's hard to explain, though.
It is.
I mean, you know, it's like hard
Friend
to...
count?
Yeah, friend count. Yeah.
So I think everything you said is perfect. And I agree that when I make a really good connection, I feel like there's never enough time to say all the things. It's like starting a conversation, and the conversation is endless. Because every time you get together, there's so much you want to share and express, and it never feels like work. There's never a lift. So it's this seamless, really natural, beautiful friendship where you just want to keep talking, and you want to keep sharing, and you want to keep spending time together. And thank you, Shira.
No, it's
And so it's just easy and seamless, and you feel really known and also really comfortable from the get-go.
yes, I totally agree. Okay.
I think it's Kayla's turn.
No, I want to save this question for last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kayla has like the last question. Okay. So my next question for you is, what are the best and funny connections? So, what are the best and funny connections you have made? And I want like a story, like a
Funny connection?
yeah, like one that like you did not think that was gonna stay, but it actually did.
How appropriate should we make this?
It doesn't have. It
appropriate?
doesn't have to be appropriate.
No, I wasn't asking you, Shira. I was asking everyone.
Medium appropriate.
You go first.
I am drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Well, okay, so my best friend Mary Claire, she is very funny, and I feel like the way that we became friends was pretty funny. So we were both in the same sorority, but we didn't really get to know each other as much until our sophomore year. And during our sophomore year, there was one like uproarious night out where we walked each other home from wherever we were. And by the end of the night, we had like 8 shared stories of tripping over our own feet, of saying stupid things, and that kind of bonded us to each other. And I think I also think Mary Claire is my funniest friend. Like if you were to look up funny in the dictionary, it would be Mary Claire. But that's I think my best funny friend story.
Okay, I thought of 2 stories.
Okay,
This was
great.
an on-the-spot moment of these.
Yes.
So one is somebody I did not think was going to be my friend, and one was so quirky that I was like, I'm in. So, girls, I'm sorry I can't look at you during this, but my first day of my first adult internship, I'm 22 years old. I'm an intern at this global PR firm. I am so nervous. I feel so underprepared. I wasn't sure what to wear. I wasn't sure how to act. Nothing felt natural. And I was in this cohort with 3 other interns. And this girl marches in with her designer bag and her nice outfit and her perfect posture, and she is like raring to go. She's shaking everybody's hand. She's saying all the right things. She just clearly had it together. And I was instantly like, I hate her. I was so intimidated and I was so jealous. And I was like, why can't I be more like this girl? Who I later learned had a big sister who worked in PR, so she had like a leg up.
She had a coach.
And I was like, this is my competition this summer. And then I was a bridesmaid in her wedding.
Oh.
We became very good friends.
Who was it?
It was Katie. You guys, she moved to the suburbs. We haven't seen each other in a minute, but we had a lot of fun in our 20s and really bonded. And I think even though I talked earlier about sometimes knowing somebody was going to be a good connection, I also think you have to leave room for those instances where you actually have no idea and you completely misjudge somebody and your own baggage or lens clouds your perception. And she was great, and I was the one who was jealous and intimidated. And once I got past that, I was like, oh, she's so fun and she's so amazing, and became a very treasured friend. The second one that was funny is I went to this party in my 20s at a bowling alley, and there was this guy, and he wasn't bowling. And I was like, why aren't you bowling? And he goes, have you ever thought about how gross it is to stick your fingers in a ball that all of these other people have put their fingers in? And I was like, Gary, I have not thought about that.
I love Gary already.
Oh my God, I still love Gary. And so his revulsion at this and his way of expressing it, I'm like, you're my sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of Gary and I's friendship.
Okay, I have one more to add, actually, now that you're talking about this. So I worked on the Obama campaign in 2008, and when I got...
You know who loves the Obamas?
Tell me.
Kayla.
I worked on the Obama
I read
campaign.
her book.
Did you?
The first
So
one.
Michelle, I did see Michelle in real life. I was in the same room with both of them. Yeah. At the inauguration, so in 2009.
I wasn't alive.
Thank you, Shira.
Not alive then. Yes. So geriatric Jeana, why don't you share
Anyway,
more?
Grandma here. And so after I got back from the campaign, jobs were scarce. I felt really overqualified for this position that I took, but I took it anyway, and I worked as an intern at a PR firm.
This was the bad internship?
This was actually, okay, so the one I worked at for one day was before I went to the Obama campaign.
Okay, different
And
internship.
then this one I worked at for like 8 months. And it was at Edelman in their Strategy 1 division, which is now called something else. It's like Edelman Burson or something like that.
I worked at Burson.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It probably is not actually at Burson, but it's Edelman something. It's their like research and strategy. Anyway, none of that's important. What is important is I was part of a group of like 14 people who were like 22 to 24 years old. And we had to get there between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. because we were doing the morning media reports which I don't think anyone has to do anymore. I think AI does it.
Yes.
And so we would show up and put these reports together, but it was just like such a bonding experience. Like we worked in a closet, girls. Like this is what they used to do to interns. We worked in what used to be a storage closet. There were no windows, and we were packed on like tables. Edelman, you remember this.
How
you know
old
what
were
you did.
you?
I was 22. I turned 23 working there. But we would get there at like 4 to 6 in the morning, and we'd work until noon to 2.
For no money.
For very little money. We all also had like bartending jobs or waitressing jobs. But we got very, very close in that situation. Like that was very bonding. They paid us in friends.
That's a great way to say it. Trauma bonds.
Yeah.
Yes. Kayla, do you have the final question?
Yeah, but also we share a birthday with Barack Obama.
Do you? Oh my, what sign does that make you?
Leo?
That's very fitting.
Leo energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the
We not
last
okay.
question is, what is the connection code?
And how did it become that?
What is
Did
the
you just
connection?
not want Kayla to have the last word?
No, I was just.
Appending? Wait, Rachel, do you want to start? And what is the connection? Like,
There's a very scientific principle. No, there is not.
it was like we could go up here, we could go down here, 10,000 foot view.
I think the connection code is Jeana and I in real time figuring out what it is that makes connections thrive and how to help to the best of our ability to get other people to have stronger connections. So we are exploring and navigating this together. And maybe at the end of this podcast journey, we'll have some like really snappy, great one-liner about what it is. But what we go back to is the connection code is helping people have better relationships.
Yeah, and I think it's very based in curiosity too. Like, I don't think your mom or I would say we're perfect at friendship. We're perfect at networking. But we're very curious and passionate about those things. So I think the curiosity and the passion for these topics allows us to ask questions, dig deeper, talk to smart people, and get a little smarter.
I think we should ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Shira, why don't you go first? What do you think makes a good connection?
I think what makes a good connection is like always trusting the other person and feeling like they got your back. And they're like, kind to you, and you can talk to them about almost anything.
Sounds just like your mom.
That they can they listen to you and listen to your stories and you listen to them, and you have the same interests, so you get along good.
I love that.
Do you have any questions for the girls?
I have so many follow-ups. What do you think it's going to be like to make friends? You're going to the 6th grade?
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be like to make friends in the 6th grade?
Well, it's gonna be the same people because we don't move schools.
But I think because you're gonna be with different people in different classes, that you can have stronger bonds with people that you're just friendly with. But then you'll be really good friends with them. Oh, and also adding up to what my mom said, I also think that what makes a good connection is also kind of being a little different, so you can show each other what you like.
I think that's a really good point.
Anything else, Kayla?
What about your question?
Or anything at all in the whole world you want to talk
Parting
about?
thoughts,
Parting
guys.
words.
Have you learned anything from connection from watching your parents?
That
No.
And I think that is the takeaway.
Yep, thank you,
okay.
girls.
I hope other people are learning something. Apparently my own children are not.
I never said that.
Well, the best connection in my life is the one that led to you guys. And I love you deeply. And thank you for supporting your mom in this podcast.
Wait, like connections can be at like any age. They don't. You can't be too
Yes.
old or you can't be too young.
Oh, that's a good learning. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Shira.
I love you.
Embarrassment in real time.
Guys, good job.
Bye.
Great.
Bye.
So despite a few false starts, we got there. And that was a really, for me at least, special conversation.
What a delight. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Shira, for interviewing us.
Thanks, girls.
This has been another episode of The Connection Code, a podcast about friends, connections, work, and everything in between. This is a production by two friends, Rachel Gilman Rischall and Jeana Anderson Cohen. You can follow us on Instagram using our full names or connect with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a DM, send us a message. And we'd love to thank Ben Cleaver, who edits this podcast. And thanks to all of you who listen.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
20 seconds.
Goodbye. Thanks for having me. See you later.
Let's see you next time.